And that's why we're excited today to announce the relaunching of the Iowa Hunger Directory in 2026. With updated profiles and features, this new directory will better connect hunger fighter organizations here at home and amplify the great work that's being done across communities across our great state. The goal, obviously, is to strengthen partnerships and make it easier for individuals and groups to find support, to share resources, and, as many speakers suggested, to collaborate. We invite all organizations here in attendance to help shape this next chapter by updating or submitting their listings at the table in the rotunda. So excited about that opportunity. Equally excited to introduce Secretary Naig. I think we all know he is the Secretary of Agriculture and Land Stewardship for our state. He's the 15th Secretary. He's an individual that knows the department extraordinarily well, not only by virtue of his service in the capacity as Secretary, but also he served as Deputy Secretary as well under Secretary Northey, another great champion of Iowa agriculture. The Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship has many, many responsibilities, and after I got the job of Secretary of Agriculture in the country, it occurred to me that actually you may have had a better job than any governor has ever had. No, this is a great job, the Secretary of Agriculture job. It's a great job. Because listen to what this guy's doing at the department. First and foremost, he understands the importance of expanding markets and trade to Iowa agriculture and agriculture generally. He is, I think, with a laser-like focus, worked on water quality and land stewardship. He is leading the effort with the Iowa Nutrient Reduction Strategy. And I think he's also really dedicated to the next generation of young people looking forward to developing careers in agriculture and food, and that's certainly something we here at the Foundation support. And I think he understands very, very specifically the importance and the power of public-private partnerships. Just to underscore this, these are just some of the partnerships that the Secretary has developed with his office. Some of them are obvious. Iowa State University, for example, and other state departments like the Department of Natural Resources. He worked closely, I know when I was Secretary, and continues to do so, with USDA departments, including the Natural Resource Conservation Service, Iowa Farm Bureau, the Conservation Districts of Iowa, the Practical Farmers of Iowa, Iowa Learning Farms, the Iowa Agricultural Water Alliance, the Soybean Association, Iowa Corn, the pork producers, obviously another partner, the cattlemen, the Agribusiness Association of Iowa, and Iowa's Nutrient Research and Education Council. These are just a representing sample of the partnerships that Secretary Naig has developed with the department. So we are very pleased and honored to have him here today. And with that, please welcome Secretary Naig.
Please welcome Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, the Honorable Mike Naig.
Well, thank you so much, Governor. Thanks for that introduction, and great to see you. And it's great to be here with all of you this afternoon. And I do want to thank the World Food Prize Foundation for hosting and convening this summit. Mashal, good to see you as well. And the whole team, congratulations on a wonderful event. Mashal and I were talking a little bit. I can remember, I've been around long enough that I remember when the room wasn't quite as full when this summit was happening, and I am thrilled to be able to see such a great cross-section of folks. Also good to see Governor Branstad, Ambassador Quinn, wonderful to see you as well. And Ambassador Quinn, it was good to see you working today, serving that lunch. I hope everybody got enough cheese on your, I think it was cheese you were serving, maybe it was not, I don't know. Salsa, it was salsa. So if there's a salsa shortage, you know who to blame here, but Ken, good to see you. So food insecurity is a real and a pressing issue, and I always think when I'm standing in this room, in this building, of course we will tend to think about these things as being issues that happen in other countries, somewhere else in the world, or a large city somewhere else in the country. And I think what we all know and what you all know is that it's happening in our towns, in our cities, in our rural communities, in farm country right here in Iowa. So if the need exists everywhere, then the solution has to exist everywhere. And of course, we know that locally led efforts like Tapestry Farms, that you're going to be hearing more about, can serve as an inspiration to hunger fighters across our great state. And I've always appreciated, too, that, of course, this Iowa Hunger Summit is a really nice bookend, if you will, to the Borlaug Dialogue, which is very much a true global gathering of hunger fighters and innovators from literally all across the world, bringing a very international perspective. And what we're talking about today, what you all are talking about in these breakout sessions and the speakers, is that you are talking about something where we zoom in at the very local level and highlighting what communities and organizations and individuals, again, like an individual and an organization we're going to recognize here with an Iowa Shares Award today, is focused on what you're doing, what solutions you can bring. So I want to commend each and every one of you in some form or fashion. Every one of you sitting in this room is doing something in a big way or a small way, locally or globally, to do something to eradicate hunger, and I appreciate that. You know, as I travel across this state, and I do extensively, I get to meet a lot of folks from a variety of backgrounds, a great diversity, and we're blessed to have a lot of folks that get up every single day thinking about how can they improve the communities that they live in. And these are people who recognize a need, they see the need, they fill it, they bring their time and treasure, their innovation, their persistence, their compassion, their blood, sweat, and tears, whatever you want to say, they bring it to the effort and trying to address some of our greatest challenges. And I believe that spirit that we embody in this state, the Iowa spirit, is exactly why I can remain optimistic when I look at the issues that confront us, and that we can make progress on things like, yes, food insecurity, but poverty, substance abuse, preventing the need for foster care, and if necessary, supporting foster families and adoptive families and adoption support where needed. These are tough challenges, and they're all connected. But the other thing we think about in our agriculture community in this state is that we have tremendously hardworking farmers and folks working in ag. We've got incredible natural resources, our soil, our innovative farm families, ag businesses. Iowa agriculture is truly a productivity powerhouse. And most of the time when we think about that, we think of it being a powerhouse related to commodities, you know, large-scale production and the value-added sectors that go with it, livestock and renewable energy. But, and of course, that production matters incredibly important to us as Iowans, to Americans, and people all around the world. You know, something like 96% of the consumers on this planet live outside of the borders of the United States, and we connect with those consumers. But that's not the entire story of Iowa agriculture. What I see as I travel, and the work that we're doing at the department, is an increasingly valuable, diversified sector in our state. So 2 years ago at the Iowa State Fair, just 2 years ago at the Iowa State Fair, we launched Choose Iowa. Beth Romer's here. Beth, you're going to hear from Beth this afternoon. Beth leads Choose Iowa for us at the department. Talk to her, ask her all the tough questions. She's fantastic. We brought in the best that we could possibly find. Beth, thanks for your great leadership of the program. We launched Choose Iowa at the fair 2 years ago. It's our state-branded program for Iowa Made, Iowa Raised, and Iowa Grown, and it's growing quickly. So as of this morning, and that's why I say it this way, as of this morning, we have 290 members. You can go to chooseiowa.com, look at that directory, and it may be more than that by now. We literally are adding members every day, including Tapestry, by the way. Thank you so much for your membership. And you can go and you can look at that. But certainly Choose Iowa is about being a promotional activity. At its core, that's what it is. It's about business development. It's about growing opportunities to connect our farms and businesses with Iowa consumers that are looking to buy local. But it's also the umbrella that we can then organize under to advance policy initiatives, regulatory reform, streamlining all those efforts, and certainly advocate for things at the state and the federal level to grow this very, very important sector. It's also the initiative that we have used to secure millions of dollars in funding to invest in supply chain infrastructure and increase processing capacity and labor-saving technology on farms. And we've done this through the Choose Iowa grant programs. We've got the Value-Added Ag Grant, the Dairy Processing Grant, and the Meat Processing Grant programs. All of those grant dollars now available for several years to help build out that infrastructure that we need. Now, last year at this event, we were talking. I think I may, if I'm going to come back every year, I think we should announce something every year. What do you think? Should we get on that? We'll try that. It's going to be a good challenge for us to figure out what we can do. But last year, we announced the Choose Iowa Purchasing Pilot Program for food banks, which also tells you that Choose Iowa is not very good at naming programs. Choose Iowa Purchasing Pilot Program for Food Banks, CIPPPFB. We gotta work on that. But this was a new state-based effort that helped connect Iowa food banks. And where are our food bank partners here? I saw several of you. Where have you? Did you have to sit at the table to get? You did. Okay. Food banks. We love you. That we helped connect food banks with Iowa-grown, Iowa-made, and Iowa-raised ag products and beverages. Thank you for your great partnership. That pilot program was really all about trying to strengthen, again, the local food supply chains, create markets for Iowa farmers, and ultimately bring more fresh, nutritious food to families in need. So important. We're still calculating all the final impact for the first year, but I can tell you that Choose Iowa worked with the 6 food banks and DMARC, and they partnered with more than 20 farms and food hubs. And they then bought a variety of food, including fresh produce, dairy, beef, pork, lamb. Altogether, that was 94,000 pounds of food, along with more than 5,200 gallons of milk and nearly 730 dozen eggs were purchased. So not too bad for a pretty small pilot program. And we were very pleased. We asked for, along with others, that the legislature make this program permanent, and they did that, and now we're expanding. We're going to look at adding schools to the Choose Iowa Purchasing Pilot for Schools upcoming this year, and we've announced 33 participating schools this spring, and we're really excited to see how this happens. Again, ultimately connecting school nutrition directors with folks that they can buy locally from and get those connections made so it's easier to pick up the phone and that farmers are able to supply the things that schools need. And ultimately our students end up with local nutritious options for the upcoming school year. Very, very excited about that. Also want to let you know that I and my colleagues from other states are very supportive of trying to figure out how can we have additional federal level efforts to increase the availability of local foods, especially for food banks, schools, and institutional buyers, those folks that can buy in quantities that farms can then predict next year's effort and borrow accordingly and all those types of things. The institutional buyer is critically important. Our efforts at the Iowa Department of Ag also extend to improving access to fresh local produce at farmers markets and farm stands, especially for WIC recipients and Iowa seniors. We're still in progress for 2025, obviously, but for 2024, we certified 582 farmers to accept produce vouchers at 100 farmers markets on 125 farmer stands across the state. So this effort, and we also worked with other agencies to provide vouchers to 14,000 seniors and 31,000 mothers and children, and that led to $863,000 and change in sales for participating farms. Not too bad. It makes a difference every little bit. So that's just a quick highlight. So I did announce that we're expanding to schools, so I kept my promise on this year. We'll challenge ourselves for next year. But I do want to thank the World Food Prize Foundation for organizing this summit, for all of you being here, taking the day to really engage and think, and I hope you leave inspired to try something new, or you've met somebody new today that you might think about partnering with in the future. And also for highlighting Iowa's leadership in agriculture and reminding us of the why. Why does any of this matter? Why does any of it, us being productive like we are, why does it matter? And bringing that really home. So thank you for your commitment to feeding everyone, for participating in this summit, for being hunger fighters, and we need to do this together. And we need new partnerships, renewed sense of energy, and of course, as we stand, every time I speak under this amazing portrait of that great man, I also can't help but say, let's be inspired by the passion and the vision of Dr. Borlaug to ensure that everyone, not just here in Iowa, but everywhere across the country and around the globe, has access to safe, healthy, and abundant, affordable food. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm supposed to introduce you?
Thank you so much, Secretary Naig. And what he didn't mention is that we are headed, along with the governor, to India together through Dialogue Next in early September. So excited about partnering with you on that front as well. Thank you for your incredible, unwavering commitment to the people of Iowa. And your leadership reminds us that agriculture is about so much more than crops and land stewardship and water quality. It's about nourishing families, strengthening communities, and sowing hope from the ground up. I had to sneak in our theme again. There are moments in our history that reveal the heart of who we are. One of those moments came in 1979, when Iowa Governor Robert D. Ray stood at the edge of a refugee camp in Thailand. He had seen the photos, the hollow eyes, the emaciated children, but standing there in the dust with his own camera in hand, it became real in that moment. While the world turned away, he stepped forward. Through the Iowa Shares campaign, Iowa sends help to aid refugees and end starvation. He mobilized this state to send food, medicine, Iowa doctors and nurses to aid tens of thousands of Cambodian refugees. He gave them what they needed most, not just survival, but a sign that someone, somewhere, cared. And that has always been Iowa at its best, not a bystander to suffering, but a builder of hope. The Robert D. Ray Iowa Shares Humanitarian Award is given to those who carry that legacy forward with courage, compassion, and action. This year, we honor someone who has done just that, right here in our own soil. Anne McGlynn, founder and executive director of Tapestry Farms in Davenport, saw need where others saw neglect. She saw empty land and planted abundance. She saw refugee families and built community. And from one small backyard garden and a gifted bowl of spinach, she began something very extraordinary. Since 2017, Tapestry Farms has grown over 20,000 pounds of culturally meaningful produce with the help of more than 300 volunteers. But that's just the beginning. They've supported over 130 refugee families with housing, healthcare, education, and employment. Not just food, but the foundation for a new life. In every seed she plants, in every family she welcomes, Anne echoes Governor Ray's conviction that every person deserves dignity, and every act of compassion can change a life. Anne doesn't lead with grand gestures. She leads with presence, with persistence, with love that takes root and grows. Today, because of her, Iowa's legacy of welcome and nourishment lives on, not as history, but as harvest. It is my great honor, on behalf of the World Food Prize Foundation, to present the 2025 Robert D. Ray Iowa Shares Humanitarian Award to an extraordinary Iowan, Anne McGlynn.